we're also looking at how our business fits into our life instead of how our life fits into our business. This year, I'm just aggressively and unapologetically pursuing freedom, and I'm simplifying my goal setting process, everything that I can in our business, everything that I can. Hey there, welcome back to the Business Lounge podcast. I'm your host, Kimberly Jimenez, and in today's episode, I'm sharing all the behind the scenes. I'm spilling all the tea as to why I am actually waiting until February to plan my goals. And so if you're in the same place, I hope that this episode inspires you. I'm going to give you a little behind the scenes of how we deal with uncertainty in the business, things that change and things that pivot, and how we adapt as we plan for the new year. So if you haven't set your goals yet, or even if you have, I think this episode is going to be super inspiring for how to actually deal with what comes at you when it comes to life and business, and how to course correct appropriately. So let's get into it. So the first thing I wanted to share with you is having this permission, I guess, or giving you permission to be okay with setting goals in February. And it's funny because every single year inside the Business Lounge, we go through this program called the Prosper Plan. It came about because Chris and I every single year would get together in January, and we would have an actual goal setting planning process where we would turn our goals into a business plan for the year. And we've refined that process. And starting in 2017, we wanted to give the Business Launch members access to that. And we also created or developed a course. And so as a community, we go through that process every year together in January. But I'm always telling my members, it's okay if you have to plan your year in February. It's okay if you have to plan your year in March. It's okay if mid-year you come into the membership and you learn a new strategy and you learn how to plan things differently. So Chris and I, when we are planning our goals for the year, we're not just planning business goals, we're also planning life goals, and we're planning our life. We're planning when we're going to take vacation time. And we're also looking at how our business fits into our life instead of how our life fits into our business. Something we had to learn over lots of painful mistakes and challenges. And so we really look at it from a holistic standpoint. That's why we have that time set aside to plan and to really look at the previous year and review what worked and what didn't. And so I want to encourage you, if you haven't had a chance to sit down and really plan your goals, maybe you are, really busy and life got in the way. Maybe you had some kind of crisis or something chaotic happened at the beginning of the year, whether it's you had someone that you loved, fall ill, or you're, having to address a certain issue in your family, or you're looking for a new job, or you're moving, or whatever it might be. It's totally okay to come back February, to come back March, to come back April, and do some planning, do some course correction. I love to work backwards in my business. And so I find that having just a time that's dedicated for me to look at what has worked, where I am, take accountability for what didn't work, look and take inventory of my life and my business. It's so therapeutic. It's so therapeutic for me because my mind is just naturally chaotic. I am a type A, get it done, get it done fast too, implement ideas, and it just becomes pretty overwhelming when I don't have that space and that time to really just calm down, let go, and not feel like things have to be absolutely go all the time, or, chaotic in my brain. And so with the world being what it is right now, I think we owe it to ourselves to just slow down, to just come up with a time where we can sit down and really look at what we want to achieve at the end of the year, what we want to feel at the end of the year. How do we want to function? What do we want to do differently? How do other people around us, how are our decisions impacting them? And how do we want them to feel at the end of the year? Being in relationship with us, being in business with us, whatever that might be. So just feel encouraged and permission to go ahead and plan your little heart out too, if you haven't done so already. And then going into just the second point that I have here in my notes is just simplifying, guys. Simplifying. You know, I'm the kind of person that I love a good plan and a good goal and a good ambitious plan and an ambitious goal. Like, I'm just like here for it. I'm like, let's go, let's do it, let's make it happen. And I work really, really hard. So I'd have no problems working hard. I don't think that you should work yourself to the bone without taking care of your body, right? There's an extreme there, but I am a go-getter, and I'm the type that will make things happen when I want them to. If I want something bad enough, like, I will go get it. And so for me, I tend to have this like pitfall of overcomplicating things and making things too perfect and waiting till the very, ideal moment instead of just getting it done. Instead of just being like, it's okay, it's 80%, let's go. And this is something I've had to really work on the past couple of years. And one of the things that I'm doing this year is I have here on my notes, I'm aggressively and unapologetically pursuing freedom. For me, simplicity is freedom a lot of times, because I tend to kind of just entrap myself in this idea of how things should be or what they should look like instead of what they are, right? Instead of what they are. And so I've been working with my mentor this year, who pointed out that I just need to simplify. And it's something that I've known. And so it's just been at the forefront. So this year, I'm just aggressively and unapologetically pursuing freedom. And I'm simplifying my goal setting process, everything that I can in our business, everything that I can in my life. Chris and I have been having these conversations since December about, what are we making too hard in our business? What are we making too hard in our life? Is something that we ask ourselves pretty consistently. What is not working? Sometimes we are so busy and our mind is so chaotic and there's so much going on. Maybe you can relate being an entrepreneur, where the business kind of just takes over and it's just go, go, go all the time, or there's just one thing after the other, or you're just naturally really passionate about what you do, like we are, and you're constantly thinking of ideas and new things that you want to pursue, that you kind of neglect the personal side of things, and just the common sense goes out the window. I don't know if I'm the only one. Let me know in the comments if you're watching this on YouTube. And if you're on the podcast, I'd love for you to DM me over on Instagram or send me a chat on Telegram. Is this just me? Is it just us? But this has been a recurring thing in our marriage, where we're always like, okay, if something is wrong at the house, if something is wrong with the pets, if something's wrong with our family dynamic, how do we simplify? Like, what are we making too hard? You know what I'm saying? And so we do the same thing in business. How can we actually make things simpler? And so this year, as I'm sharing all of the behind the scenes with you, I want you to also feel inspired and hopefully given permission to pursue simplicity, pursue freedom aggressively. I am doing this very, very intentionally this year. And I want to pursue freedom in every aspect. I want to pursue freedom in my in the financial aspect, like financial freedom. I want to pursue, freedom of expression. I want to pursue really building and developing the kind of business that I want to build, not the kind of business that other people think I should build. And so that created this effect of me really thinking through a lot of prayer and a lot of guidance and a lot of opening up my heart to God and letting God lead in a lot of ways, and pursuing what He had for me instead of what other people had for me or other people wanted me to do. Anyway, all that to say is that if I want to pursue my business in a particular way, I'm going to do that. And so this year, I feel like things are finally falling into place where I have amazing partners. I've brought in new people in the business that are just crazy leveling up our product suite, the way that we do things, our offerings. We've been able to develop so many more resources and help so many more people than we have in the past, because I have followed, that notion of pursuing what God has for me instead of what other people have or other people think that I should have. So, one of the things that I just want to encourage you to do, you may not be in that same boat, but so that might not be relatable to you, but the freedom aspect should be. There has to be something in your life that you maybe are holding yourself back from. Maybe you have really ambitious dreams and you've been a little bit scared to pursue them. I want you to be brave enough to have the freedom to actually pursue those dreams, to be courageous enough to dream big this year, to be courageous enough to say, you know what? I'm going against the grain this year. I'm going to do things the way I think they should be done. I'm going to do things the way God is leading me to do things. And I'm not going to amplify voices in my life. Maybe it's family, maybe it's friends, maybe it's your community that will really discourage me from pursuing what I know I need to be pursuing. So, all that to say, I hope that you are focused on simplification and focusing on freedom. And that kind of leads me to the next point I have, which is, what is your one thing this year? What is your one thing? For me, this has been such a powerful exercise. And if you're in the business lounge or if you've gone through the Prosper Plan, you know, we talk about the one thing a lot. It's a book by Gary Keller, and the concept is fantastic. It's asking yourself this question, especially at the beginning of the year. What is the one thing that you could do that would make everything else easier or unnecessary? What is the one thing that you could do when you look at your goals, when you look at your plans, when you look at what you have in terms of your desires and your intentions this year? What is that domino effect? What is the one domino that you could actually knock down that would cause that domino effect for other things to be knocked down in your business so that you don't need to do all the things in that to-do list? Maybe it makes things on your to-do list easier, or maybe it makes them unnecessary, right? Maybe it makes them unnecessary. What is your one thing this year? And so looking at that can be so empowering because it gives you blinders. It provides focus, and focus is unparalleled and invaluable when it comes to actually following through on your goals. So one of the things that I want to encourage you to do is to find your one thing. And if you haven't picked up the book by Gary Keller, highly recommend that you do. Gary Keller is the founder of Keller Williams, founded here in the state of Texas, which I'm super proud of because I claim Texas as my own now. And I think that's such an amazing and powerful concept. It makes being okay with the chaos that comes with being an entrepreneur a little bit more approachable, a little bit more relatable. And it gives you validation to just be like, you know, I'm pursuing this one thing really hard, and then building your goals off of that one thing instead of having this lofty, ambitious list of goals that you never look at again the rest of the year, and then feeling disappointed at the end of the year because you didn't reach them. You got to have a plan. And I think that the one thing really helps you focus on what that plan should look like. And I want to walk you through what it looks like in real life for us to set up our goal setting process. So this year, there's a lot going on with traveling. There's, my brother Brian, who's now part of our company, is flying out to Puerto Rico for some awesome wedding things that he has to do, which is super fun. And then Chris and I are actually getting a bigger space. So we're going to be moving the office studio to a bigger space. So that kind of wasn't something that we planned, but kind of came out of left field. And so there's that. Plus, we are in the month of February, and so we didn't want to wait super long. So even though we normally take a trip, we normally have an actual goal setting retreat. And I know that sounds super bougie and super extra, and that's not something you have to do. We have the luxury of doing that. We've worked really hard for the luxury of doing that. And so normally we go out to the beach or to Puerto Rico, or we take a trip. And so this year we had a cabin reserved for the team. And so we were all going to go there and just plan and have a really good time and set goals and intentions. But this year it's going to be a little different. So we're not going to be able to travel. So what we're going to do is we're going to rent an actual office space, a very inspiring office space, hopefully, and have a good, probably 3 to 4 day team meeting, usually half days, and keep things rolling that way. So you have to adapt. And some years, if you are normally taking travel time and doing your goal setting, some years that might be super, super powerful. Other years, you just have to work with what you have. And maybe it's just going to the library and having that quiet time, or it's going to a park, or maybe it's getting the kids to take an extra nap and do your dream time while they're, actually napping. So nap time and dream time go together. Or maybe you get the spouse to watch them for an hour, or a good, friend or family member, or you just roll with the punches and throw on some headphones and do a little bit of planning for 20 minutes every day for a week. You got to roll with the punches and do what makes sense for the season of life that you're in. I'm sure that when we start a family, it will not be so easy to just take a whole week and just be like, yeah, we're going to plan. But it's all about adapting, and really the ideas that you set intention behind it, and you sit down and take that time and carve it out for that purpose. So we usually carve out that time, and next we start off with the actual Prosper plan. And one of the things that we do is we review the previous year. I can't go through all of it with you, but I'm just going to give you some highlights, what worked and what didn't. We look at our numbers, right? What numbers did we hit? Did we reach the goals that we set? If so, awesome. How can we replicate that again this year? If not, how can we course correct? So one of the things that I want to make sure you're doing is not beating yourself up if you didn't achieve a specific goal, and really looking at, okay, actually, one of my mentors mentioned this, and I thought it was such a cool idea. It's looking at your goals and deciding, do you need to push or do you need to pause? Do you need to push and say, you know what, I didn't reach this goal because I didn't push enough. And so I'm going to refocus on this particular aspect and just really go at it. Or do you need to pause and say, I wonder if this goal actually made sense for the season that I'm in. I don't know that it did. And so if it didn't, then you can go and just pause, right? And replace it with a different goal, or a smaller goal, or a bigger goal. Just depends on where you're at. And that happens throughout the year. It does not matter how much time I spend planning. Inevitably, life is going to throw curveballs at you. And so sometimes I will get to quarter two and say, you know what? Why did I set this goal? This doesn't make any sense. This is not in alignment with my one thing, or things have changed. I thought that this was going to be this way, but now that life has been a little bit different, I have to redirect that energy and maybe shift a little bit here or shift a little bit there. So total permission to change things up and make it really strategic. The next thing is, I always want to ask myself, how do I want to feel at the end of the year? Just thinking ahead, just being honest, like, how do I want to feel, come December? Do I want to feel exhausted and drained and like I just can't give anything else of myself? Because I've been there, it sucks. That's happened and it's not fun. Last year was one of those years where we did so much in terms of new products. Like, we launch software, we have new workshops every single month in the business lounge, we have a new get it done day every single month in the business lounge, we're delivering worksheets so everyone can implement and get results. We have boot camps that are all day, live events. We launched TBL coaching, which is our mastermind program, and we also released a bunch of courses and some new additional products that we hadn't created before, and some digital downloads. And it was a lot, it was a lot. At the end of the year, we were all just burnt out. And that's kind of what the year required. Honestly, I can't think of too much that we would do differently, but it was exhausting. And so this year we're setting parameters and non-negotiables with our new setup, the way that we're running the business now, which is different than what we've done in previous years. And so with that knowledge, because there was so much uncertainty with running something totally new in terms of new products, now we know, our promotional calendar needs to look like this, or we need to take a vacation in this time, or it makes more sense to host these events this time of the year. And so little things like that really help with figuring out where we're at and how we want to feel at the end of the year. This year, I don't want to feel depleted and exhausted and like I need to take, at least a 3-month vacation. And that also plays into our personal life. We did a lot last year personally. We traveled a lot and we did a lot of fun things, and that was awesome. But then we have to balance that with business and not stress ourselves physically so much. So that's the next thing. And then we already talked about this next one, which is the one thing. What is your one thing this year? Again, before we start into goal setting, see how we're like psychologically building up a framework that helps us set goals that are smart and intentional and realistic and measurable and all the good stuff. I think the acronym is SMART or SMARTER goals. And then we're going into personal growth plan. So once we have the one thing, we're clear on that. Then we're looking at who do I need to become this year in order to reach the goals that I have in mind. Build a plan to grow yourself. It's the biggest, most important investment you will ever make in your life is investing in your knowledge, investing in your character, and investing in your skill set. For me, the spiritual component of a personal growth plan is huge, especially this year. I told you guys a little bit more about my journey last year of bringing Jesus into the business and what that looked like and being bold about my faith and really walking totally radically differently in my faith walk than I had in the past. And that has had massive ripple effects in my business, more than I ever anticipated or even thought of. And I will have a separate episode for you guys talking all about what that has looked like. And I think I'm going to bring Chris on that one too, because we've all been in that journey, Chris, Brian, and I, this past year, and it's been radically amazing. It has totally changed the way that we think about business, the way that we think about our purpose, the way that we build the business moving forward, to set it up to be a place of multiplication, a place where we continue to serve people at our highest potential, and a place where we are letting go of a lot of what we can't control and focusing on what God is leading us to do, which has been transformative. So personal growth plan, right? Spiritual, mental, physical. How are you going to build yourself this year? And then setting goals. This is the fun part, right? This is the fun part. We've gotten a good foundation for our goal setting. And now we're going to look at what does that look like very practically. And so for me, I love setting 3 to 5 goals, not more than that. I think you could go up to 10, and that's really pushing it. And the reason for that is, again, simplicity. When you have fewer goals that maybe are a little bit bigger, a little bit more ambitious, a little bit scarier, they tend to set the tone for the year. And also, it feels more attainable. I don't know what it is about quantity. It just feels like a lot. So I have a very hard time setting only 5 goals, but I know that once I reach those 3 to 5 goals, I can actually replace them with new ones. So that's the little workaround if you get, just disappointed because you want to achieve a lot. And so for me, 3 of those goals are usually business goals. 2 of the goals are personal goals. And yes, it includes both personal and professional. So 3 to 5, not more than that, so I can be really focused. And then from there, I go into my promotional calendar and we look at, okay, these are our financial goals. These are the goals that we have for marketing and building the business. How does this match up with our promotional schedule? And we'll look at the entire year, and it might change. That's okay. It's just having that big picture vision and an idea of how the year is going to flow. From there, then we go into content strategy and our content plan. And I hope that you're starting to see how you're reverse engineering the whole process to really start off with looking at what worked and didn't, and all the way down to like focusing with your one thing, making sure that you have a personal growth plan, and then diving into promotional plan and then your content or marketing strategy. That way, the content strategy is leading to the promotional plan, meaning they're both working synergistically to help you achieve a particular goal. Right? That's the whole point of what we do as business owners. So instead of having a bunch of to-dos on your to-do list that are completely discombobulated from the goals that you have set earlier in the year, you actually have a system to follow up. You have milestones, you're breaking it down into tasks, and you're assigning these goals in a way that makes sense for the whole quarter. We're going to have an entire other episode where I'm going to walk you through the full focus planner and how I use it on a daily basis to stay on top of my goals. And that was highly requested by one of you guys on the YouTube channel. So I love that. But for now, I hope that you're starting to see the big picture and that it's hopefully coming together for you. And And that's it. That's how we do our goal setting. That's how we do our planning. Of course, there's other things like vacation time and figuring out, our travel schedules and when we're going to hang out with family and friends and holidays and all that good stuff. But this is the bare bones of what it looks like, and it shouldn't be a thing that takes you hours and hours and hours unless you want to spend that time, and we do, right? But if you don't have the time and you just have maybe an hour or two, this is doable. You can absolutely go in and fill this out and make it very attainable. So I hope that this was helpful. I hope that you enjoyed it. Don't forget that, of course, if you want more hand-holding and an actual template that walks you through it, you can check out the Prosper Plan template or the Prosper Plan course, which includes both of them. I hope that this year is full of amazing things in your business. I hope that you're being intentional. I hope that you're doubling down on your purpose and on your why, and that you're serving people at a higher level and really stepping into all that God has in store for you. Remember, you're put on this earth for a very important reason, and people really need the gifts and the awesome skills and the awesome perspective that you bring into the mix. So it doesn't matter how unsexy your business feels or unsexy your product might seem. All of us have an important role to play, and it's our God-given mission to play that role at our highest potential. And so I want to challenge you, and I want to encourage you this year to keep moving forward in faith, to continue building the legacy that you have envisioned, and to continue leaning on God for all the things that maybe feel a little bit outside of your comfort zone. I love you. I'm rooting for you. Un beso, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now. And hey, if you're wondering how you can work with us to take your content marketing or your business to the next level, here are 3 ways that you can get started. Number 1, make sure to download our Success Path. It's completely free, and it'll give you the 6 stages of online business success. From validating your business all the way through scale, we're going to give you a detailed overview of what particular strategies you need to be deploying, but also, just as importantly, what areas you should leave for the next stage, you should not be worrying about. Now, it's not a comprehensive list, but it definitely is going to get you started on the right track. Number 2, come over to Content Calendar System 2.0 and check it out. Not only is it our most popular product, it's going to give you everything that you need to know about content creation that's efficient and will save you a ridiculous amount of time from the lens of profitability, because we don't want to just create content for the sake of creating content. We want to do it for a purpose, and we want to get results. Number 3, come join us inside the Business Lounge. It's our premier signature program where I teach my very best work around marketing in general. From developing your business idea to crafting amazing emails and blogs, podcasts and video, social media content, as well as designing funnels and creating webinars and selling via Facebook ads. All of that training is jam-packed inside the Business Lounge. Not just that, but you're also going to get monthly coaching calls with me and my co-pilot, Chris, where you get to ask us questions. We review your sales strategies and your sales funnels, and we give you feedback in real time. You're also going to have access to our Facebook group and our private forum, where you can connect with thousands of other online entrepreneurs who are just where you're at right now. And you're going to be able to feel that sense of community and get feedback from those people in real time as well. All the information will be linked in the description box below, and I will see you in the next episode. Un beso. Bye for now.